Welcome to today's Career Development webinar, Your Stress-Free Path to a Career You Love. I'm Katie DeBeer, Associate Director for Professional and Volunteer Services with the UMass Amherst Alumni Association, and I will be the host for today's session. And now I'm very excited to introduce our expert presenters, both of whom are proud UMass Amherst alumni. Meredith DeMola is a certified professional career coach and owner of Life's Work Career Coaching. She is passionate about working with individuals on their quest to create and find meaning in their work and life. As a coach, she works with professionals across industries to discover careers that match their purpose, skills, and values. She provides salary negotiation advice, resume critiques, interviewing tips, and career assistance. Learn more about Meredith on her website, lifesworkcareercoaching.com. Marcy Zeef founded Creating Calm in 2007 and is a meditation expert, a Reiki master, and holds a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. She works with clients to reduce stress and anxiety through group and private meditation instruction and conducts stress reduction seminars for major corporations. Additionally, Zeef is trained in the disciplines of insight meditation, visualization, and guided meditation. Learn more about Marcy on her website, creating-calm.com.
So by the end of this training, you will have an understanding of what meditation is, why meditation is important, how mindfulness and meditation can benefit you, and you'll have the opportunity to experience some guided meditation and breath work and come away with some tools for home use. And the slide is not moving. There we go. So I began my own meditation practice 15 years ago while I was training for a black belt in Taekwondo. I was so nervous about getting up in front of a panel of judges that I wasn't even sure if I could continue on and go get a black belt. But it was so important to me, and I loved it, and I really wanted to find a way that I could continue. So I began exploring meditation as a way to help me get through this time, and I realized after practicing for a while that I began to sleep better. I was able to get up in front of people without that intense feeling of anxiety. You know, I was a little nervous, but I wasn't so anxious that I couldn't do it. My focus improved, and the best part was that family and friends began to notice a positive difference in the way that I was behaving. Meditation was so instrumental in helping me not only achieve a first-degree black belt, but also go on to get a second degree. And it also helped me to have the courage to change careers and start a new business, which was teaching meditation to others. It had helped me so much to relieve stress and anxiety that I really wanted to teach it to other people and make meditation accessible to all. So meditation is a practice that allows the mind and the body to completely rest. By focusing your attention on a particular object, like your breath, you suspend the stream of thoughts that typically occupy the mind. Practicing meditation changes and improves how we relate to our emotions and our thoughts and our everyday stresses. Everyone experiences stress in a different way. How many of you experience physical changes in the body as a response to stress? You may sweat, your heart may race, maybe some people get pains in their stomach, your body tenses up, you may get headaches. And I know for a fact that stress hormones get released in the body. There is a direct connection between the mind and the body. We have a stressful thought, our body reacts to that stress, and we have a stressful thought. You can achieve the opposite. By breathing and letting go of your thoughts, the body reacts by relaxing. Your body responds by letting go, your muscles relax, your mind lets go, your body lets go. And at Creating Calm, we can teach you how to do that, how to elicit that relaxation response by using different breath work and guided meditation techniques so that you can reach a calmer place and realize health benefits, gain clarity and perspective about yourself and about what you really want. There are so many benefits to meditation. I've experienced many of them myself. Meditation has helped me get through cancer treatments, by helping me to remain calm during the treatments and also helped with pain post-surgery. I've had the opportunity to work with some really amazing people, and a couple of them come to my mind right now. One woman came to me with Parkinson's disease, and she noticed that her tremors lessened after the very first session of using some of the breathwork techniques. She went on to purchase my Creating Calm CD, and she took it with her to have a root canal. She said it was the best root canal she had ever experienced. And not only did it help her, but at the time she couldn't get her headset to work, so they piped it through the doctor's office, and everybody got to experience benefit from listening to the meditation CD. Another client came to me who was in career transition and began meditating to help him figure out what he wanted to do with his life. During this time, there were some major stresses in his life that he really needed to deal with, and meditation not only helped him deal with these major stresses, but eventually he ended up getting a job that he's really happy in, and he's actually decided to go to school to get an advanced degree. He credits the meditation and all the techniques to being invaluable in his journey. So I have a question. How many thoughts do you think we have each day? The answer is 50,000. It's actually 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts each day. So we're thinking human beings, and that's just the way we're wired. And the idea in meditation is not to struggle with those thoughts or judge yourself for having them. It's to breathe and notice that you're having these thoughts and gently allow them to float away without attaching any judgment or anticipation to them. So if you're working on breath work, for example, and your mind begins to wander, just notice that it's wandering. Say to yourself, oh, well, and very gently, without judgment, return your focus back to your breathing or to the techniques that we're working on. So we're going to give meditation a try. Take the next 10 minutes or so to just find some quiet time. Put down your mouse. Don't post anything on Facebook. And give yourself the opportunity to just experience the meditation as best as you can in the environment that you're in. We'll first take you through a body scan, do some breath work, and then we'll have time to go through a guided meditation. So I invite you to sit back and relax, close your eyes, and begin breathing in and breathing out. Follow the sensations of your breath, not attempting to change them in any way, just notice. Begin to notice your feet on the floor. Notice your body's connection to the chair beneath you. Allow your hands to float down to your lap. And begin breathing in and breathing out. If a thought floats into your mind, or you feel a sensation in your body, or hear a sound in your environment, just notice that. Say to yourself, oh, well. And very gently, without judgment, return your focus back to your breathing. Take a moment now to scan your body at your own pace, beginning with your head and working your way down to your feet. In your mind's eye, notice if you're holding on to anything anywhere. And if you are, send a few calming breaths to that area of the body, helping to relax and release and let go of anything you may be holding on to. I'll now lead you through a guided meditation called Clean Slate. Imagine a clean slate in front of you. Fresh start, a new beginning. And as you breathe in and breathe out, images or thoughts may arise. And if they do, imagine taking an eraser and erasing that slate clean. You may have to erase the slate many times, and that's okay. Just go back to your breath and go back to envisioning a clean slate as often as that may happen. And it takes a couple more breaths. Breathing in and breathing out. And now we're going to slowly begin to bring our awareness back into the room. First, feeling your feet on the floor, perhaps moving your feet a little bit. Beginning to move your fingers. Noticing your body and its connection to the chair beneath you. If you wish, you can even stretch your arms. Breathe in and breathe out. Slowly begin to open up your eyes and bring your awareness back into the room. Hopefully you're a little bit more relaxed and rejuvenated than you were before you did this meditation. And hopefully this is something that you can do at home on your own, some tools that you can take away with you. And that concludes my portion of the webinar, and now I can hand it off to Meredith to do the rest.
My wish and my personal mission is really to help everybody stop wishing their lives away, to not hear the words TGIF or it's almost Friday, and my wish is for people to stop feeling that sick feeling on Sunday night because tomorrow is Monday. My wish is to help you reveal your riches and what you have to offer this world. And I know it can be done successfully. I've had many clients work through this process that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about to achieve their own, each individual definitions of success. And I believe and know it's not just for special people, it's for each and every one of you. So what I'm going to talk to you all about today, goal number one, is 10,000-foot picture of your life through talking about the wheel that either you all have in front of you or hopefully had an opportunity to touch upon, look at. Second is to talk through purpose statement, mission statement, that kind of thing. Third is to review and discuss some tools to use to help you move forward and some next steps. And we'll hopefully have a few minutes at the end for some questions. So next slide, what brought me here today. This is a nice picture here that some of you may recognize. I was in corporate for a long time, and I was successful by other people's definitions of success. But I was told to stop spending time with people that couldn't make me money, and that I asked too many questions, and that I put too much time into each person, and if I couldn't place these individuals in a job, which is how I got paid in corporate, I needed to move on. So while I can't fault the business model, it wasn't my company, I could tell something was really out of whack, and my values were different than the organization that I was working for. And so I decided to do a little visual experiment, and each day when I came home from work, I'd put a big X on my calendar if it was a not that great day. And after a while, I just saw way too many X's, and I decided to make a shift and create an environment where the things I was being criticized for were valued monetarily as well as personally. And that, is my example, my story, but I've heard it from many, many people as well. So next slide, please. This is just one of, I'm sort of obsessed with this topic, so there's like many, many articles about this. And this is just one that I pulled just to give a quick visual snapshot that, not being happy at work or with the prospects of potential work is not only happening to you, folks that are on the phone, but, far too many people. Statistics are all over the place. Anywhere from 50 to 70% of people, not just in the U.S. but everywhere, are not happy in their work. So, there's a little source there if you care to research this at all. But just wanted to show that visual representation. Next, please. So, this, most everyone who comes to me wants to figure out how to find a job. How to network, work on resumes, cover letters. This is all great stuff. This is what I call outer work, okay? So I'm going to refer to this a few times throughout the presentation. These are all really important pieces of the process, but there's steps like 8, 9, 10. Where I want you to start is step 1, and this is the inner work, going inward. And I know you all have the answers within. Nobody else does, not your parents, not your partner, not friends, not society. So, again, while I know that probably many of you either want to find a new job or find a job, that kind of thing is important. But what's more important is starting at the beginning. And that's where we're going to kind of touch upon a little bit today. So, next slide, please. So, let's start with the 10,000-foot picture, which, next slide, actually. After this, is the life and energy wheel. Now, if you didn't have an opportunity to do this, that's okay. But if you did, either way, just, take what I'm about to say, maybe take a few notes, and you can go back to this and do it separately. And I'm happy to be a resource for you to talk through this at some point. But I hope you did have the opportunity to do it with the 5-minute centering breath work that Marcy had. If I had the opportunity to speak to each one of you individually, I would want to hear some of the words you put on the wheel. So there's, 8 slices here. And then I'd ask you to define them for yourself. So if you have a piece of paper, a pen, something to write it down, I would just make that note. Go back to this at some point and really define each of the words for yourself. We throw out a lot of common words like career, partner, work-life balance, but often don't take the time to really, truly define them for ourselves. I guarantee my definition of work-life balance is likely very different than yours. So that's step 1. Then if I was able to hear all of your answers, I'd ask you to notice the big picture. So with that pen or whatever you have to write, look at what areas of the wheel are at high levels of satisfaction versus low. And if you miss any of this, I'm happy to share it with you later. But ask yourself what contributes to those ratings. And then I'd ask you to see where you're expending your time and energy. And does your energy expenditure match what is important to you? You know, a lot of people are spending energy on things that aren't important to them and aren't feeling that great. So pick a triangle on the wheel and ask yourself what would make your satisfaction a level 10 or at least a little higher. You know, maybe that's ambitious. Maybe you have something that's a 2 or a 3. How could you get it a little bit more, a little bit higher? And I'd ask you to say, you know, what's the first answer that comes to your mind? And what action would that require, and what will make this most likely to happen? And this really important is, how do you hold yourself accountable? I mean, there's a lot to do with this, but this is just kind of a start to give you a place to kind of look at yourself and see where things are at, and a nice baseline. Okay, so the next topic that I want to build upon is the life purpose or mission statement. So if you go to the next slide, every journey begins with one step. So use whatever term resonates for you, whether you want to call it a life purpose, whether you want to call it a mission. It's like a guiding light. This can take you 10 minutes to figure out. It could take 10 years. Just like companies have a mission statement, you know, organizations, so can you. There's no right answer. There's absolutely no right way to go about finding it. But I've gone through this process one-on-one with many clients, and each person's experience is different. But what I know to be true is that each and every one of you have a very specific and different purpose. And where you're at is where you're meant to be. So the simple fact that you're here is a really great first step, okay? And I bet many of you are feeling a little bit lost right now. Many of my clients describe this as like a deer in headlights kind of feeling. And I promise you that once you know the true answers from within, the outer stuff, resumes, cover letters, interviews, all that outer stuff will fall into place. And this isn't just an empty promise. Again, I've seen this happen with many, many people. So, you know, it's always interesting to me when people begin this journey of trying to go inward, because it often feels like something is missing from their lives at this stage. And the reason why understanding your life purpose or mission statement is important is that it helps you realize what is the stamp you want to leave on this earth. What's the music inside you? What is your purpose? Now, take a minute here, and I know everybody came here for a collective sort of concern or want to discuss around career, right? But what I want you to realize that what we're talking here is a life purpose, not just specifically a career purpose. It's really all connected. You know, it's true that if you love what you do most of the time, it won't feel like work. But if you're in a career, and this is really important, if you're in a career that is still satisfying and you're able to identify things that you must have in your life to make you happy, then you just want to make sure you honor that outside of work. You know, you can also find life and career happiness as long as you do those things that make you happy outside of work. I hope that makes sense. So people tend to experience success and fulfillment in their life to the extent that they're clear about their life purpose and expressing it in each aspect of their life. So again, what is your life's purpose? Big statement, big question, and I'm going to give you a little bit of more of a understanding of how to come up with that and some examples. So if you look at the next slide. Okay, so the way that I like to think about a purpose statement is everybody has an essence. So essence is your theme. It's the one thing that has remained constant throughout your life. Okay, so this never changes. What does change is the expression. So the expression is how each one of us realizes the essence. So I'm going to give you some examples of this. So if you go to the next slide. All right, so this is my purpose statement I've had for a little bit, and I refine it every once in a while, and I'll share some of the ones of my clients as well. But my purpose is to go through life with a healthy curiosity, to be observant of the needs of people around me, and a thoughtful participant in my community. And I can tell you that that has been true for as long as I remember. The way that I'm realizing that now is to continue to grow a business that partners with and empowers individuals to define, create, and live their own life's work, be an integral part of my community, and balance and appreciate time with family. So that's kind of my guiding light. Like, I go back to that when I'm feeling a little bit lost and confused, because the other thing that I can promise you is once you come up with this purpose statement, it's not like, okay, you're done. You know, you have to continuously remind yourself of it and honor it. So if you go to the next slide, here's some examples. So remember I said the essence is the thing that doesn't change. So if you see here like some of the essences that never change. My life's purpose is to live vigorously. My life's purpose is to provide for myself, my family, and others. My life's purpose is to make a difference in this world. My life's purpose is to continue building relationships, connecting people, and teaching, coaching others. So those are an example of a few of clients' essence. And then you can just look here. I'll read it to you. The way the first person wants to implement living vigorously is being true to myself and giving everything I have to this world by imbuing others with the courage to effect positive change. So I hope you get the kind of gist, but happy to share some of these with you at a later time as well. So we'll go to the next one. All right, so there are a lot of questions to come up with a life purpose that if I had more time with you, I'd ask you a lot of questions to help you get to this answer a little bit at a time. But there's one question that I want each of you to write down, and then write down the first answer that comes to your mind. Okay? So it's important that you write down your answer, not what you think the right answer is, but the right answer for you. And I worry about how to implement the answer. Okay? So here's the question. All right? Pens in hand, paper in hand. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? I find this one is pretty telling. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? I'm going to give you a few more questions that I'd like you to just jot down, and actually maybe just write down the first answer that comes to your mind with these other questions, and then happy to share with you all afterwards like a bunch more that you can just work on your own. So what do you love to do when you have spare time? Jot down the first few things that come to your mind. What do you naturally do well? And then this one, it takes some more time later, but what have been some of your greatest successes to date? Successes in your eyes, not anybody else's. Okay, like I said, I've got a lot more questions to help with this, lots of resources to help with this, lots of talks to help with this, but I just wanted to give you a taste of a few of the questions to kind of get your mind going. So, once you have this life purpose statement, okay, great, now what? Well, we got to figure out how to implement it. That's the next slide. Thank you. So, first thing, here's some tools, to help implement. So you go to the next slide, sorry. And the next one. This is easier when I'm doing it. Sorry about that. All right, so the first tool or thought process is that, okay, so you have this life purpose statement. You want to make a shift in your life? Okay, well, you need to be willing to do that. It's one thing to say, oh, this sucks, or I'm not happy, or blah, blah, blah. But if you're not willing to make a change, nothing will change. So that's the most critical piece of this puzzle is your own desire to make a change, motivation. You may not know the exact steps to take, but your desire and willingness will absolutely lead you to take the right action toward your purpose. One of my favorite quotes, and I bet many of you have heard this. Let me see if I say it right. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I think I said that right. We get the gist. All right, so the next one. Create time. So you need to find time every day where you do your best work. Is it first thing in the morning? Is it before the rush of the day begins? Or perhaps a ride home from work in the quiet of the evening? Just know what it is for you. And once you find this time, set it aside to do activities related to your purpose statement. All right, so if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, that's for other people, things like that. All right, next slide. Make conscious choices. So again, with your life purpose in front of you, whenever you have a decision to make, ask yourself what choice will get you closest to your purpose statement. It's helpful to remind yourself that you deserve the happiness and fulfillment. Everybody does. Another thing to think about with your purpose statement is, it might take 5 years. It might take 10 years. That's okay. This doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. But just knowing that you have this sort of plan, goal is really, clients tell me all the time that's just like a weight is lifted. Like they know the direction that they're going. All right, next. Just a little sticky note I like. Live as if you matter. All right, next one. Big one. Surround yourself with people who believe in your dreams. Now, this doesn't mean you stop talking to people that don't support your vision, though I have seen people do a bit of house cleaning during this process. But it does mean share your purpose with those that will help you get to where you need to go. Not really share it with folks that really doubt it and poke holes in it. So yeah, surround yourself with people that will support you and help you move forward. And the next one. So it's a dream until you write it down, and then it's a goal. I like that quote. I don't have who wrote it, but I have it somewhere. So one way to work through this is to come up with long-term and short-term goals around your purpose statement. There are many, many different ways to do this. One way that I like to do it with folks, and I do it for myself, is like sit down and just do a data dump. Like get all the stuff that's like whirling around in your head and just get it all down there. And then write down all the things you want to do to get toward your purpose statement. And keep a running list. One thing that works for me, and it works for some of my clients, is like, every Sunday or find a day every week. Ask yourself, what are the 1 to 3 things on this list that will get me to my goal the fastest? And make a list, long-term, short-term, that kind of thing. This is a very specific tool that I'm trying to distill in like a few sentences. So again, you want to learn more about this, I'm happy to share this tool that I use with you. All right, next one. Finding quiet time, and this is really critical, and this is what Marcy was doing with you all. Is once you figure out your purpose statement, just remember how you came to it, and most likely it's during a quiet and introspective time where your intuition could be heard. Carving out time on a regular basis during this journey to be quiet with your thoughts is really critical. I remember being in a big career transition myself years ago, and I would purposefully leave my phone, when I would go on walks and runs, and I have these visions of walking around the pond in my neighborhood, talking to myself, because I wasn't looking at my phone. I didn't have music on. I just started to really connect with my thoughts, and I started to put things together, not in 1 minute, not in 45 minutes, but over time. Throwing that phone in the trunk of the car and turning the radio off and just being quiet in your commute. Those are very simple ways to kind of get quiet. And it's hard, if you're not used to it. I remember my hand just kind of kept going to the radio to turn it on, and I was like, no, stop. Got to be quiet with my thoughts. So anyway, meditation can really help you get to your life's purpose more quickly and stress-free. So something to really consider and think about. All right. So this is my favorite quote by Steve Jobs, which I know you all can read, but I'm just going to say it. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. You know, we live in a culture that asks what we want to be when we grow up versus what we will do. And people tend to experience success and fulfillment in their life to the extent that they are clear about their life's purpose, what we will do. And as I said earlier, a really critical part of this is carving out space for solitude and quiet. If nothing else from this whole entire, presentation and talk is find that time for yourself. And when we're doing what we love, whether it's career, life, again, all connected, we don't wish for life to pass us by. And so that's kind of it. We'd love to, talk through some questions and that kind of thing.
Since we have time for questions, if anyone on the call has any questions, if you'd like to send them through the chat box, we'll go ahead and share them with our presenters and get some answers for you. We have about 10 minutes, I think, for Q&A. How can we best match career ideas to what is best for our personality/skills?
I'm not sure I totally... Can you ask that in a different way, Daniel? Sure. Good. Let's give it a try. So it's nice to say, I want to do this and that, but we need to choose something that best suits who we are as a person and our skill set. I mean, such as I might love sports, but I have no chance of playing on the Pats. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about earlier is, figuring out how to honor the pieces of who you are outside of your career, right? So if you have no chance of playing for the Patriots, and that's really true. I mean, some people do get to be on the Patriots, right? So if that's you, great. And if it's not, figure out how to keep that part of your life. Don't go finding a job that you're working 80 hours a week and not, honoring your values. That's another piece of this whole puzzle. I mean, as I touched upon in the beginning, this is just the first step. The second step is really learning and understanding the 5 to 7 values that really guide each of us, defining them for ourselves, and then figuring out how to honor those values in our careers and lives right now. That changes all the time. Values change when we have kids, when we have a family, when we get married, if we're traveling, I mean, whatever. So finding an organization, finding a company, starting a company where your values are honored. That's huge. I hope that answered it.
Perfect. And Meredith, we had another question, which was, how do you determine the success of your clients when helping them determine their life purpose?
So the success of clients is determined by the client. So each individual person figures out what they're trying to achieve, what their ultimate goal is. So I don't define success for anybody but myself, nor really should you. I mean, you have to each of you need to define what success means for you, and that's what I work with people to figure out. And then once the purpose statement the purpose statement is step 1 or 2, and there's a bunch more of things that we need to work with people on. It's a guiding light. It's just really the first piece. So I hope that answered it.
Perfect. Another question, do you have any advice for mid-career professionals who have been recently laid off and are experiencing difficulties with self-esteem and confidence?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the self-esteem and confidence piece is big for, whether we call it self-esteem, confidence, whatever. It's that voice on our shoulder that holds us back. I mean, we all have it, whether we're, employed or not, happy with our lives or not. Everybody has that stuff. And so, it's hard to say without actually speaking with someone about that, but because, again, individual. But for some individuals, it's, getting outside help, therapy, that kind of thing. For some individuals, a lot of people, it's just a matter of, and I do this a lot with people, is, okay, so where does that stem from? Where does it come from? Figuring it out, where it comes from, because There's probably something in your life that has kind of caused that. Don't hang out in that too long because that's therapy. And then talk about different behaviors, different things to practice to kind of get out of that feeling of low self-esteem and confidence. I mean, I'm simplifying a lot, but this comes up all the time. So basically figuring out where it comes from and practicing new behaviors, different techniques to work through that, having some positive experiences to show that, that it can be done.
Perfect.
And if I can just add something to that, meditation is key. I've worked with several people that come to me with some of self-esteem issues, and just practicing the meditation techniques can kind of reset the way that you're thinking about things. So,
yeah, that's a good point.
Perfect. We had another question. Can you talk a little bit more about how to find your essence? So for each person, how they connect with their own.
Yeah, so that, again, like I was saying, that can take 5 minutes. So presumably that's not the answer for you, or it can take, years. But the way that many people that I have worked with find their essence is through answering lots of different questions in quiet time. I mean, it's basically all those steps that I talked about. It's like going inward, finding out, getting to know yourself. I mean, that's how, and it's hard, it's if we're not used to it, right, Marcy? I mean, you
absolutely.
I mean, can you speak about how people's experiences first kind of finding that quiet time?
Yes, and like I said during the presentation, our minds are always wandering. We think 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and it's very hard to quiet those thoughts. But meditation can help get you into that space where you can do that, and it doesn't happen immediately. It does happen over time, and I think Meredith mentioned, too, that when you combine what she's doing with meditation techniques, you can get there a lot quicker.
Yeah, I mean, that was our whole reason of wanting to do this together for you, is that, in the years that I've been working with people, I've sort of said, give us a try. And folks that have tried it and put it into practice, meditation, and it's worked for them, have found that they've been able to tap into what their essence is sooner. I mean, really, truly, that is the basis of all this stuff.
Perfect. We have a question. How do you counsel someone who is only consumed with finding a job? Is there a way you can get someone to look inward first? For example, people have no direction and sort of no plan.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't really counsel folks who are only consumed with finding a job. That's not what I do. So the folks that I work with have a desire to. They might know that it's going to be hard, and they might not know the path of how to go inward, but they're willing to do it. So I can't really think of a time where I've tried to tell someone, you have to, who didn't want to be a part of it. It's willing participants. So if there is somebody who's already done this work, I mean, I've had clients who truly have done this work, not with me, just on their own, and they come to me, they've already done steps 1 through 5, and they say, okay, I want to do the outer stuff because I already am completely certain what I want to do. Then I will work with them on the job search strategies. I hope that answers it.
We have another question. You mentioned that a job may be a means to an end, aka money, but that life fulfillment can be found outside of the traditional 40-hour work week. Can you provide some examples of how other clients have done this in the past?
Yeah, I mean, so I get it. I mean, we're all human beings and we want to know what other people do that works for them, but I can keep kind of bouncing it back to what is it that you feel that is missing from your life? I've had clients who have loved, pottery and wanted to, and realized that if they weren't doing that, they weren't happy, or even the example of sports, or, going traveling. It's those kinds of things that kind of make individuals tick. sometimes it's really easy just to come home after the work week and just like plop, right? So it's like figuring out how to honor all of those things outside of work and finding, making money makes perfect sense. That's why a lot of people are working, but it's about making money at a place that values who you are and your values work with them. One more thing, just a personal example. I worked at an organization that was like very business oriented, not the one I was talking about earlier. Very business oriented, which was fine. But one of their values, which was fabulous, is they let people go off the job in the middle of the day and go volunteer in the community. So finding an organization that is going to maybe allow you, even during the workday, to honor those things.
Great. We have 3 more questions and about 3 more minutes, so I think we can get through them, hopefully. So we have the root cause of low self-esteem and lack of confidence stems from a toxic work environment in which my skills and gifts were not affirmed or acknowledged. Any thoughts on how to deal with the after effects of working in such a toxic environment?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to kind of how I answered an earlier question of therapy or kind of working through it. Being kind of coached around it and kind of understanding, why that happened and what needs to kind of happen so that doesn't happen again. Chances are, I can't be sure because I don't know you, but chances are that place was not at all in alignment with your values. And if you kind of figure out what those 5 to 7 values are that are driving you and research future companies, future organizations. I had a client, I just got to say this really quickly. I had a client who, it sounds like you're the same exact person, who experienced that for years and years. And then once worked through exactly kind of what she was looking for and found that type of organization, complete shift. It no longer happens. She's sending me emails saying like, oh my gosh, my boss is like, telling me I'm doing a great job. I haven't heard that for 10 years. It's been the opposite. So I hope that makes sense.
Great. I think we'll have a couple more questions, and then we need to, we'll wrap up. So any other questions that came in, we will be forwarding them in the email after. But go ahead, Marcy.
I was just going to say that in addition to that, if you are still in a work environment that isn't healthy, just taking a couple of moments to find your breath, if you can find some quiet time during the day, and alleviate some of those symptoms, because a few breaths just go a long way. So just trying to incorporate a little bit of that so that you can get yourself away from those self-destructive thoughts and those self-esteem thoughts for a few minutes and calm your mind and your body.
Perfect. And we did have a question, Marcy, if you were aware of any mindfulness classes in the area not being specified, but I didn't know if you can maybe forward some resources that we can share with all the participants. I think that would be great. But if you have any offhand that you want to mention.
Well, I'm not sure what area that you're in, like you said, but my classes are in Natick. I also work with people over the phone doing coaching, and I have a meditation CD MP3 that you can have or that you can purchase online at a discount for UMass people. And that can help you with a home practice. And I would be happy to also, if you tell me where you're living, to recommend some classes in your area.
Perfect. We have a couple more questions that I don't think we'll get to, so we will forward those questions and answers in the follow-up with this email. Thank you for participating in today's Career Development webinar, Your Stress-Free Path to a Career You Love. In addition to webinars, the Alumni Association has a variety of resources to support you in navigating a career transition or advancing in your current profession. So some of those resources are listed here on the slide, but definitely check out our website, umassalumni.com, to learn more about the resources that are available to you. I want to thank you for participating in today's webinar, and especially thank Meredith and Marcy for this informative and enlightening session. To learn more about our presenters and how they can help you continue your stress-free career transition, feel free to contact them directly. Their information is here on the slide, and it will also be shared in the follow-up. In addition to their contact information, we'll be sharing a recording of the webinar, responses to the Q&A that we didn't get to in this session, and we'll include a link to a very brief participant survey where we'd love you to share your feedback. Also, I apologize for the technical difficulties we had in the beginning, but hopefully you still found this to be something that was very helpful in your journey. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.